everyone, welcome back to Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Today's video is all about my December TBR, and there's going to be a lot of mystery reading in December. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name's Alice and I have way too many books. Today's video is my December TBR and I'm very excited about it because there are not one but two mystery events happening and I'm going to join in with both of them. The readathons I'm participating in December are the Christie's Missing Readathon and Cloak and Dagger Christmas, so I'm really excited to get into a lot of the unread mysteries on my shelves. I've got lots of lovely books to get through. Just to reiterate at the beginning of the video that I'm not going to be buying any books to participate in this readathon, although there are a couple of audiobooks I will probably listen to in order to meet some of the prompts. All of the books that I've selected are from my giant TBR, they are from my bookshelves, and I am still working on getting my giant TBR firmly down below 200. Last time I spoke to you I was at 200, and while I'm filming this I can reveal that I am below 200 for the first time in years. But there is still work to do, there are still books to be read, and I would like it to be as far below 200 as possible by Christmas time. Without any further ado, let's get into the two readathons, what they are, and what I'm planning to read for them. So the Agatha Christie's Missing Readathon is new this year and it's taking place between the 3rd and the 14th of December. Now the reason for the importance of these dates is because in 1926 those are the 11 days that Agatha Christie went missing. She disappeared on the 3rd of December and no one really knows why or what happened, because she was dealing with a lot of things at the time. Her mother had died, her husband was divorcing her. Mysteriously she vanished and it was like something out of the plot of one of her books. And she was found 11 days later at a spa in Harrogate and she claimed to have amnesia. So who knows what happened there. It's something I've always found very, very interesting. And if you are interested in this, I did read a book. I'm not saying it's the best book in the world, but I did read a book called Agatha Christie's 11 Missing Days by Jared Cade, and this was my first exposure to this mystery, so it is definitely an interesting book to pick up if you'd like to know a bit more about the speculation around Agatha Christie going missing. This readathon in honour of the missing days is going to be hosted by Naomi's Bookshelf, Say Kevy and Berna's Bookish Adventures. All three of them are great channels who often talk about mysteries and Agatha Christie, so I would urge you to go and check them out and I will link them in the description box down below. This readathon is obviously for 11 days, so there's not a huge amount of plot prompts, but there are a few. There is a group read and I'll tell you about that in a moment. So prompt number 1, and the only prompt you actually have to do to participate, is to read an Agatha Christie. Now for me, there are no more new Agatha Christie's to read apart from her plays and things like that. So it's possible that I will attempt to read The Mousetrap. This is The Mousetrap and selected plays, so I might read the whole thing. It's got in it And Then There Were None, Appointment with Death, The Hollow and The Mousetrap, all in their play forms. I may read this so that I read a new Agatha Christie, but most likely I will be doing some rereading. Also counting towards this prompt will be the group read, and the group read is going to be one of Agatha Christie's standalone books, The Sitterford Mystery. And I really enjoyed this one the first time I read it, and it also covers 2 of the other prompts for the readathon. So I definitely am going to read it and join in with the read along. And this book has one of the most, my copy of it, it's a Fontana copy, and it's one of the most bizarre front covers of any book that I've ever seen. I've got no idea how it actually relates to the book, but I don't think it does. And I actually find it quite terrifying. So yeah, this is the front cover of The Sitterford Mystery. Not loving that at all. But anyway, yeah, it's about a murder. Agatha Christie is always about murders. and it's a really good one from what I remember. I think I do know the solution to this one, but I'm really looking forward to joining in the read along and reading it again. The other Agatha Christie that I'm definitely going to be rereading in the month is the pick for Christie Fest in December, which is going to be The 450 from Paddington, which is a Marple story. I loved this one the first time around. I think this is a fascinating premise. It's about a lady called Mrs. McGillicuddy, I believe her name is, and in her train, as her train is alongside another train, she sees on the other train what she thinks is a murder, and that's the setup for this book. Absolutely love that setup, and yeah, very, very exciting. I will definitely be reading this in December as well for Christie Fest. And Christie Fest is run by Julie from Hungry Bookworm and Lil from Lil's Vintage World, so do check them both out in the description box down below if you're interested in Christie Fest. Prompt number 2 in this readathon is read a non-Poirot or Marple book, so I'll be sticking with the Sitterford mystery for that. And prompt number 3 is read a bad weather book for Read Christie 2021. So Read Christie is, I haven't actually joined in with it this year, but I do plan to join in next year. Read Christie is where you read one Agatha Christie book a month, and there's a prompt each month to help you do so. So their prompt for December is read a bad weather book. The Sitterford Mystery is definitely a bad weather book. There's a lot of snow in this one. Going to be counting that one for that as well. There are 2 very interesting prompts on this readathon that I won't be able to get away with the Sitterford Mystery for. And those are, number 4 is read an Agatha Award winner. Now, the Agatha Award is an award given to books that are similar to Agatha Christie in that they don't have overt violence, sex, those types of things. So I think that's what it's about, but if you want to know more about the Agatha Awards, I would suggest checking out the channels of the hosts because they talk about it in a bit more detail. So for this one, I'm going to have to use an audiobook. I've been through a long Wikipedia list of all the nominees and all the winners of this award. Unfortunately, the only ones I have on my shelf are ones that I've already read. So I will be reading an audiobook for this one, but I haven't quite made up my mind what yet. This audiobook is definitely going to also be useful for one of the prompts on Cloak and Dagger Christmas. Let me show you. It's either going to be A Fate or Grace by Louise Penny, which is one of the Inspector Gamache series, which I've never read any of. Inspector Gamache is actually one of the prompts for Cloak and Dagger Christmas, so if I do listen to that, it will also tick off a prompt for that. It is quite a long audiobook, and I may opt for a shorter audiobook, which is the winner of the Children's Award, and that is called Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library by Chris Grabenstein, which sounds really interesting. It sounds like a good children's mystery. That would also hit a prompt for Cloak and Dagger Christmas, but a different prompt. I will probably listen to one of those 2. I may not get it all listened to in the 11 days. Anyway, prompt number 5 on this readathon is read a romance in honour of Mary Westmacott. I'm not sure how romantic this particular one is, but it is actually a Mary Westmacott, so I'm definitely counting it for this prompt. And this was the first Mary Westmacott book that Agatha Christie wrote, and it's called Giant's Bread. There is also an optional prompt of watch an Agatha Christie mystery. This ties in nicely with Cloak and Dagger Christmas as well, and it ties in nicely with Christie Fest because I usually like to watch the adaptation of the book afterwards. So for this one, I will watch probably the Agatha Christie's Marple series. I'm not sure which of the 2 Marples is in this one. I will probably watch 450 from Paddington. I may also watch the Sitterford Mystery adaptation because I believe that was adapted as a Marple as well, even though it's actually a standalone. That is the Christie's Missing Readathon. I'm really excited. I'm definitely going to read Giant's Bread and the Sitterford Mystery. and 450 to Paddington. I might read The Mousetrap if I have time, and I don't know yet about the audiobooks, but if I do get time to start one of those 2 audiobooks, I would love to do so. Let's go on and talk about the Cloak and Dagger Christmas. Cloak and Dagger Christmas is a readathon that is running for the entire month of December, and this one is hosted by Kate Howe, Melanie Martin, Janelle at Too Fond of Books, Kate at The Novel Nomad, and Carolyn at Carolyn's Reading Ramblings. I'm really looking forward to this one as well. This has been run as a readathon before, but it's my first time participating. This year the prompts are named after famous characters in mysteries, which I absolutely love. And for this readathon, because I've got a few books to read for the other readathon as well, and because I need to read books from my shelves, I have picked some books that will double up for some of the prompts because I just don't think that I'll get through all of them otherwise. Now, there are levels for this readathon, so if you meet 3 prompts, you get the amateur investigator level. If you meet 6 prompts, you get the police inspector level. But of course, this is competitive me, and there is a level for 9 prompts, which is all of the prompts, and that is called Sherlock Holmes level. So how can I resist Sherlock Holmes level? I'm going to try for it, even though I am probably overcommitting. Prompt number 1 is Inspector Bucket. Read a Victorian mystery or one set in the Victorian era. So Inspector Bucket is famously one of the first ever fictional detectives, and he features in Bleak House, which I've read. So I'm not actually going to read a Victorian mystery for this one because I'm a bit Victorianed out after Victober. I need a little break from it. So I've gone for one set in the Victorian era, and this is also going to double up for a prompt later possibly. This is actually a book that I believe I won in a giveaway, but it was a lot of years ago, so I can't really remember. I won 2 books, I believe, and I've read the first one. This is the second one, and this is a young Sherlock Holmes book. So it's written by Andrew Lane, and this one's called Young Sherlock Holmes Red Leech. It has a very shiny, cool cover. This is, as far as I know, set in Victorian London. I've read all the actual Sherlock Holmes books, so this seems perfect as a mystery to read for this prompt. The second prompt for this readathon is Inspector Gamache. Read a mystery with a bilingual detective or one set in a village. Now, if I do obviously listen to the Inspector Gamache mystery by Louise Penny, then I could count that towards this. But I also have an Agatha Raisin book. These are always set in a village in the Cotswolds. I think I might have read about 18 of these. I think I had 20 of these books and I've read all but 2. So I'm going to be reading this one, which is the next one in the series. So it's probably around about the 19th book in the Agatha Raisin series, and it's by MC Beaton and it's called A Spoonful of Poison. So I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with these books. I do really like them, in the sense that they are really easy to read, and I thought the TV series was enjoyable as well when I tuned into that, although I don't think it's necessarily how I imagined Agatha Raisin. But at the same time, I find Agatha Raisin a little bit annoying. She's not the world's most likeable character, and the storylines can be quite throwaway, but I have got through 18 of them, so they're obviously not that bad. And I enjoy reading these as a bit of a break from anything difficult. So I do enjoy this series, it's just not always something that I want to read. So the third prompt is called Tommy and Tuppence, who are famously Agatha Christie's detective duo who appeared in 5 of her books. I didn't really have anything standing out at me that had a really good partnership in it. However, I'm going to controversially choose one of the new Poirot books by Sophie Hannah. Sophie Hannah has invented a new sidekick for Hercule Poirot in these. His name is Inspector Edward Catchpole. So I'm going to go with this as Poirot and Catchpole as a team, and hope that that meets the prompt. I think this is the 4th one of Sophie Hannah's continuation of Hercule Poirot. I have mixed feelings about these as well. I really have enjoyed Sophie Hannah's own original books, and I obviously really enjoy the Hercule Poirot series, but These aren't perfect as Poirot books go, but they are quite enjoyable, so I will, I'm sure, enjoy getting stuck into this one, which I got for my birthday. So the next prompt is actually named after Agatha Raisin, who we've already mentioned. Read a mystery with an amateur sleuth. Now, Agatha Raisin starts off as an amateur sleuth and becomes a private detective. In this one, I think she might technically already be a private detective, but the prompt's named after her, so I'm going to count this. And if not, I am going to be reading the 450 from Paddington. Miss Marple's obviously an amateur sleuth. So the next prompt is Hercule Poirot, my favourite detective. This prompt is read a golden age mystery or one set between 1920 and 1945. Although I've possibly got that covered by the Agatha Christies, I'm planning to also join in with the group read along of Footsteps in the Dark by Georgette Heyer. I think this would count in this category. Don't know an awful lot about the book, but I am planning to listen to that on audiobook and join in the group chat about it. So because I'm doing that, that's why I'm not quite sure yet about the other audiobooks, because I don't want to take on too many audiobooks, otherwise I won't be able to read them all. If not, I could meet this prompt with the last Dorothy L. Sayers book that I own, which is Unnatural Death. I've read the first one and the second one. I might read the third one for this if I get a chance to. On to the next prompt, which is Detective Galileo. I've never read a book about Detective Galileo, but this prompt involved reading a translated mystery or one set in a country different to yours. Now, I did have a couple of books on my shelf that would meet this prompt. I don't often read translated mysteries, but I do have a couple of translated crime books, and one of them is Wash This Blood Clean From My Hands by Fred Vargas. I believe this is translated from French. It sounds very, very grisly. I do like the odd grisly mystery, and this one is about Commissaire Adamsberg and a case involving people being stabbed with a trident. So it's definitely not cosy, this one. I may read this in December anyway, and it would meet the prompt Detective Galileo. If I don't end up reading this, I do have a book set in another country, which is the one I'm going to talk about for the next prompt. The next prompt is Kinsey Milhone, who is a detective in a series of books by Sue Grafton. I've read one of those, and this is Read a Mystery with a Private Detective. The one that I had on my shelf, which has been on my shelf for a long time, is The Last Detective by Robert Craze. I got this as a recommendation from a book called The Rough Guide to Crime Fiction, and it's actually the 9th book in the Elvis Cole series, and Elvis Cole is a PI in Los Angeles. So if I was not to read the translated book, I do have this one to fall back on because it's set in the USA and I'm in England. This is supposed to be one of Robert Craze's best books about Elvis Cole, so I thought I would give this one a try. The next prompt is Flavia de Luce, read a children's mystery or a new to you series. I'm going to go with the children's mystery, and I'm going to go again with Young Sherlock Holmes, Red Leech. I already mentioned this one for another prompt, but this is definitely a children's mystery, or certainly young adult, if not actually children's. If I do listen to it instead of the Inspector Gamache mystery, Escape from Mr. Lemoncellot's Library, which I mentioned for the other readathon, would meet this prompt as well. And the final prompt is actually a very similar prompt to the final prompt of Agatha Christie's Missing Readathon, which is Columbo, watch an episode of a mystery TV series. We talked about this in the previous readathon, and I mentioned that I will probably watch one of the Marple series, either the Sitterford mystery or the 450 from Paddington. If I can't find either of those from that particular series, I may watch the Joan Hickson Marple. If not, I might watch a Poirot. That's actually all the books that I have to talk about today for my TBR. Even with all the doubling up, that's 10 possible books. I've remembered that I also said that you could all choose me a book to read in December, and I gave you the options in my end of the year tag of 3 different Daphne Du Maurier books that I wanted to read before the end of the year. Those books were My Cousin Rachel, Jamaica Inn, and Frenchman's Creek. Those of you that voted in the comments, and those of you that voted on Instagram pretty much agreed that you didn't want me to read Frenchman's Creek. That only received 3 votes. It was actually very close between Jamaica Inn and My Cousin Rachel, but the book that I'm definitely going to be reading in December is going to be My Cousin Rachel. This was overwhelmingly voted for. I heard a lot of positive things about this book, and I will read it in December and let you know how I get on. So thank you if you voted in my comments for one of the books. So we do have that one to read as well, and we'll see how much I can get through in terms of all these mysteries. Anyway, really looking forward to Cloak and Dagger Christmas. Really looking forward to the Christie's Missing Readathon and participating in both of those. I will link all of the lovely channels that are running this readathon in the description down below for both readathons, so do go and check them all out because they've all made brilliant introductory videos with lots of recommendations. Do let me know in the comments down below, are you joining in with the Christie's Missing Readathon? Will you be joining in with Cloak and Dagger Christmas? And if so, which book are you most looking forward to reading, or which prompt do you most like the sound of? I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below as always, and if you have enjoyed this video today, please do give it a like. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Looking forward to a very mysterious time of year, and let's hope it's both mysterious and festive. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll all join me again soon for another video all about books, probably mysteries, here on Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Bye for now.